Zero waste is a big concept. What is it and how can it be achieved in a meaningful way? Here at UC Davis, we've translated years of research into real action to work towards our goals of a zero waste campus. My name is Amy, and come along with me on Sustainably UC Davis, where we get to the bottom of campus sustainability efforts and hear from those who make it happen.
Food waste from our campus dining commons, animal facilities, brewery, winery, and experimental farms is not all destined for the landfill. Instead, the renewable energy anaerobic digester, or the REED facility, receives 20 tons of food waste per day from the UC Davis campus and local grocery stores. The REED facility actively converts the waste into biogas, methane, liquid digestate, and concentrated ammonia. What is even more exciting is the massive upgrade the REED facility will soon undergo. Earlier this year, they received a $4.77 million grant from CalRecycle, which will be used for a new gas engine, an advanced depackager, and an additional digestion tank. With these improvements, the energy harnessed from the facility will ultimately power the growing fleet of Unitrans electric buses here on campus.
Let's hear more from Joe Yonkoski, Facilities Management Superintendent of Thermal Infrastructure and former REED Facility Supervisor.
The REED facility stands for Renewable Energy Anaerobic Digester, and it is a biodigester, and the whole purpose of it is to convert organic material into energy. So we take food waste from campus and local grocery store distributors, and we process the food waste, grind it up, make it into small pieces. We put it in our biodigester tanks, and inside those tanks there's a bacteria that break the food waste down into methane and carbon dioxide. And that is called biogas. And that biogas can be used for heating. It can be turned into electricity. There's a lot of different things that the biogas can be used for, and it's much more valuable than, just taking the food waste to a landfill. There's regulation in California that kind of forces diversion of organic material out of landfills, and that's because it forms methane in the landfills, which leaks out and contributes to global warming. So California said, we don't want to do that, we want to divert our food waste away, and one method of diversion is a biodigester. The REED facility was recently awarded about a $5 million grant, about $4.8 million, and that was to make 3 improvements at the facility. This grant was from CalRecycle, and that's a state agency, and their whole goal is to increase diversion of organic material away from landfills. So our grant was to replace the depackager, put in some newer technology that removes the plastic material and contaminants more efficiently than our current system. The second update that we'll get with the grant is to replace tank 1. It's the first tank in the digester process, and the food waste goes in there, and it's a really acidic environment. And the tank was originally built as a steel tank with a glass lining on the inside, and that glass cracked at some point, so acidic food waste started eating away at the steel. So we are going to replace it with a stainless steel tank, which will hold up to the conditions much better, and the grant is funding that. The third aspect of the grant is to add an engine generator to make electricity from the biogas. So that'll sit out right behind me here, and biogas produced from the REED facility and also the surrounding landfill, which is at the site as well, will route its gas to this engine, and it'll make electricity, and that electricity will go back on UC Davis's grid and charge the Unitrans electric buses. We've already lined up a supplier for each of these equipment items, and we expect construction to happen this summer and into the fall, and then possibly starting each of these new equipment pieces early next year, maybe in the spring or something next year in 2026.
Thank you, Joe. Beyond food waste, UC Davis plans to tackle single-use plastics on our campus.
Across our campus, you'll find plenty of recycling and compost bins. However, the university aims for a more forward-thinking solution, which is eliminating single-use plastics completely from our food service establishments. These efforts are in alignment with the University of California's Sustainable Practices policy on single-use plastics, which includes phasing out distribution of plastic bags in retail and food establishments, single-use plastic beverage bottles, disposable single-use plastic foodware, and instead providing compostable and/or reusable alternatives to these items.
Let's find out where the Sustainability Office is currently at with these goals and what exciting progress the future holds.
I'm Kelli O'Day. I work in the UC Davis Sustainability Office. One of my roles is I'm the Assessment Program Manager, so I assess the campus's progress on sustainability goals, things like the single-use plastics policy. I also oversee the Zero Waste program, so I work with a team of students implementing waste reduction initiatives across campus. Really, when it comes to tackling single-use plastics, I like to think of the zero waste hierarchy, which a lot of people are familiar with it, but they might not realize that they're familiar with it, because really it's just the concept of reduce what you buy, reuse, and then recycle. Since reusables in retail operations is so challenging, one of the ways, like the first stepping stones that campuses are going are implementing PLA or compostable plastics rather than single-use regular plastics, because these plastics could then go to an industrial compost facility and be composted, which is better than, a plastic cup living forever in the environment. And PLA plastics also pose all of their own challenges. Sometimes they don't always break down in the proper time frame required, even if they're BPI certified. And at the end of the day, you're still using virgin materials to make this product that is single use, when it could just be something that's reused. So one of the other challenges with PLA plastics is actually finding and sourcing them can be pretty difficult. Specifically at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, sourcing a lot of things became really hard with difficulties in supply chain. The single-use plastics policy specifically calls out single-use beverage bottles. Eliminating these plastic water bottles all across campus is not an easy thing. And so that's why the Pepsi contract is actually really exciting, where they can guarantee that 80% of these products that would usually come in plastic are going to come in non-plastic alternatives that are recyclable. And the Pepsi contract is a really good example of how the UCs can kind of use their purchasing power to nudge the industry a little bit. Other than the single-use plastics policy, the UC does have a couple of long-term zero waste goals. One of the goals is diverting 90% of all waste away from the landfill. A lot of times in the industry, that's what we refer to as like what zero waste is, the 90% diversion rate. And so campus is actually, we've kind of flatlined at a 65% diversion rate over the last couple of years, and the COVID-19 pandemic really, caused a big ripple in some of our goals. And so we're still getting back into the swing of things and trying to reduce a lot of our waste. And then there's also state regulations, actually, SB 1383, which requires that there is a recycle and compost bin next to every landfill bin. It's kind of a great motivator to get more compost bins across campus. And so that's another outside regulation that we're working towards on campus. One of the biggest ways that the campus community can contribute to these goals is, as I mentioned, embrace reuse, bring your own reusable water bottle to campus. If you can, bring your own utensils, that's really helpful. And then another way that you can actually contribute to some of these goals is learn how to sort your waste. There's tons of resources online. You can also reach out to our recycling@ucdavis.edu email address if you ever have questions about resources for diverting your waste away from the landfill. We're always happy to help.
Hi, my name is Grae. I'm a zero waste coordinator. I've been one for about a year now.
Hi, I'm Sophie. I've been a zero waste coordinator at UC Davis Sustainability for 2 years now. I was really passionate about sustainability before I started this job, and I was really interested in how I could live a more sustainable lifestyle. And so when I started this job, I was super excited to spread my passion for sustainability and educate other people on sustainable waste practices. So I think it's really important to have that individual passion for sustainability, but then also I get to play a role in the office doing things more related to policy.
So before working as a zero waste coordinator, I had no idea just how complex the world of waste is. And through this role, it's led me to be a lot more cognizant about where my waste is going and how it's being processed and like what bin I'm putting my waste in. I think a big example that I've talked to a lot of my friends about is that the fact that like e-waste and batteries can't be like put in your curbside bin, and they need to be specifically recycled for batteries or e-waste. And this practice is actually extremely dangerous, and the lithium-ion batteries cause a lot of fires in waste facilities.
I think broadly, I really enjoy the engagement side of being a zero waste coordinator. For example, we table at the farmers market, and then also last year, we were able to get a group of volunteers and provide waste sorting services at a big staff event, thank goodness for staff. And that was really fun because in previous years, this was a really big event that didn't have any waste sorting at all. I think they just had like landfill bins, but last year we were able to get landfill recycling and compost, and we also got a big group of volunteers out to help people sort. And that was a super fun event, and it was really gratifying to see the UC Davis community and the attendees at the event be really interested in waste sorting. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, you have to sort your waste, but people would come up to us and ask questions and take an interest in waste sorting, which is super exciting.
So the culture of sustainability at UC Davis runs pretty deep. I think the best way to get involved is to sign up for the Office of Sustainability's newsletter. It goes out about once every month. We do like volunteer opportunities, internship opportunities, and just other ways to get involved with sustainability on campus. And it's not just from our office, like all of campus sends us stuff our way, and we send it out in the newsletter. And we're happy to chat with you about all things waste.
From reducing plastic waste to rethinking how we design our landscapes, sustainability is woven into every part of our campus life. In our next episode, we'll visit the Arboretum and Public Garden to see how our campus is preparing for a changing climate. See you next time on Sustainably UC Davis.